that the Dayton Flyers are afraid of the Wright State Raiders. That's why they come up with every excuse in the book not to play them. There it is. The hottest take of them all. It's the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers, live on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Well, that did not take long at all. It took 1 week for the entire country to realize that Ohio State's the best team in the country. It just took 1 week and one game. How about that? I-O, welcome in. Happy not Monday, our Monday, but Tuesday. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. A ton to get into. The season, finally, real football to talk about. And I tell you what, that might have been one of the most loaded week ones in college football in quite some time because there was so much going on this past weekend that when I turn my attention towards the fact that it is week one of the NFL season, I'm not even ready to get all into the week one of the NFL season because of the fallout from week one of college football. We welcome you guys in again. Happy not Monday, but Tuesday, but our Monday. Some of you, your Monday as well, but a lot to get into. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, no?
Ohio State. Coming in at number one. The AP poll came out earlier today. For those of you watching live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel, Facebook page, and all that other fun stuff. There you go. The AP Top 25 is out. Ohio State jumps up to number one. No surprise there. They're number one on both the AP and the coaches poll. So we sit here right now. We take a look at this. Of course, we could focus on some of the other teams that are here. I will say that right away, the conversation after LSU's big win at Clemson, Kevin, Ohio State's big win at home against Texas, it right away started going to those two teams as far as who's going to be number one. Penn State still sitting at number two. They played Nevada, made Nevada look like Nevada. Penn State looked like the number two team in the country. Some still believe that's the best team in the country. They're going to have their chance, though. They'll have their shot to prove it. You know, these polls don't matter until that you don't like how your team's reflected in there. But LSU and Ohio State, obviously the two biggest winners of week one.
Yeah, huge wins for both programs out there. Obviously, Ohio State is who we want to start with. They beat Texas, you know, the team that they beat in the semifinals of the college football playoff. So all the talk was Texas is going to get their revenge on Ohio State. They're the motivated team in this situation. They got, you know, Arch Manning, who was perceived to be a better quarterback than Quinn Ewers. And they're coming in loaded with their firepower on offense, a loaded team on defense. They were basically kind of like mirrors of Ohio State, breaking in a new quarterback, breaking in a lot of new talent on the offense and defensive lines. Lots of star power at, you know, multiple levels on the defense. That game was very close throughout and is basically a draw outside of, you know, big plays made by Ohio State's defense and obviously Julian Sand not giving the ball away. So they played it kind of close to the vest, ran the ball not very effectively, but they made the big plays when they needed to. The big home run play, the Carnell Tate, him going up there and mossing the guy, double catching it for the touchdown. Obviously they put together a nice drive to go up 7-0, like an 80-yard drive. And then obviously Jermaine Matthews with the interception off of, I was going to say Quinn Ewers, off of Arch Manning that led to points as well for the Buckeyes. The Buckeyes were able to hang on. Unfortunately, we did not get the shutout that I desperately wanted. I wanted that shutout so bad. I wanted that 14-0, but, you know, I'll settle for a 14-7 win over Texas.
Yeah, and again, we're going to talk about that game. We'll talk about LSU's big win over Clemson. There's a ton of big, I mean, like we knew that the North Carolina run with Bill Belichick could be a little rough. I think that was even worse than what some had anticipated, but we'll get to that coming up here around the corner as well. Again, I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirit. So one more time, take a look. There's the AP Top 25 poll right there. Texas drops to 7. Ohio State bumps up to number 1. And there'll be plenty of time to debate this and discuss this. You know, Ohio State, they're the number 1 team in the country, but are they the best team in the country? I think that's a very tough ask to ask of any team. I don't know who the best team in the country is right now, but I will say with that defense, that's the biggest piece of the puzzle right there. You look at the teams that win national championships, it's all about the defense, whether it's been the recent dynasty with Georgia, Michigan's run that led them to a national championship. Yes, we could talk about Donovan Edwards. We could talk about J.J. McCarthy. We could talk about those pieces, but it was all about that defense. Last year, we could talk about Will Howard and Jeremiah Smith and obviously Quinshon Judkins and company, but it was all about that defense and Jim Knowles and how they kind of flipped that switch down the stretch and really turned into a defensive juggernaut. The reason I'm confident in saying that I have no problem with Ohio State being at number 1, mainly because 1, I'm a Buckeye fan, so there's that. But 2, they definitely looked the part. I mean, when
Yeah.
you beat the number 1 team in the country and you defensively dominate the Heisman hopeful, the Heisman favorite, the offense that has NFL talent on it that everyone deemed to be one of the best offenses in the country. This is why preseason rankings are stupid, by the way. But based on the information we have, I have no problem with Ohio State being at number 1 as far as I'm concerned with where that. And that's, I mean, you would like to think that that's the worst the offense is going to look for the remainder of the season. I think they're only going to get better. Everyone made such a big deal about Arch Manning, debuting against Ohio State. I think I was even more concerned about the likes of what Ohio State was throwing out there and Julian saying, him debuting against Texas's defense. I hats off to Ryan Day. Really, both teams did very similar things as far as handling both quarterbacks with care, if you will. I thought that offensively they were dull and boring, and I think that was the case on both sides. Arch played poorly. Julian Sain didn't play lights out, but I don't think he played poorly. I think that's the most constricted we'll see that offense be called all season, and I think it was smart. You don't want to kill the kid's confidence. You don't want him to go out there and have 2-3 picks against one of the best defenses, if not the best defense they'll face this season, maybe outside of Penn State, maybe Michigan by the time we get to the end. I have no problem with how Ohio State managed and called that offense as far as that's concerned. Do you agree that that was more a result of taking care of Julian Sayin versus unleashing all the bullets? I think more bullets will be put in the chamber each and every week, especially with a team like Grambling State coming up. I guarantee you we see a lot more big play opportunities down the field because, 1, Grambling State will probably give that to you, but 2, Ohio State's going to be more aggressive because if you take a chance and mess up, the margin for error is a lot more wider against a team like Grambling in Ohio the next couple of weeks than a team like Texas.
Absolutely. The game plan was keep it safe and don't have Julian Sand turn the ball over and do something that a first time starting quarterback would do. Wasn't a lot of reads over the middle of the field. Middle of the field is where balls go to get intercepted. It was a lot of sideline throws, a lot of quick action type of passes for Julian Sand. But, you look at like what Arch was dealing with. I don't think that they dialed it back for Arch. I think they were trying to dial up things for Arch. They weren't there. And kudos to Ohio State and the whole secondary, the whole defensive line, the whole linebacker core. Like he did some 5-step drops and he was looking downfield and guys weren't open and he was confused. So it was a lot of check down Charlie. It wasn't a lot of stuff from him there to make because Ohio State took away those completions for him. So he was relegated to, crossers and check downs. But I mean, I think that was a great game plan by Coach Day and the offense. Like, look, man, this is the way we're going to lose the game if we give them the game. Like, if we give them a pick six the other way, if we give them a fumble. I thought offensively they didn't run the ball well, but Texas is good at defense. So they'll get better. But I thought pass protection wise, I thought Ohio State did a good job. But obviously, the talk of the day with Ohio State is the defense. The defense was lights out. And I know Matt Patricia is getting a lot of credit for that, and he should because he dialed up an NFL type of scheme defense. But I think the players should get majority of that credit because to be able to receive that information, to retain that information, to learn that defense that quickly. These aren't the guys that were there last year. Yeah, there's a couple guys that played there last year. Obviously, Downs and Sonny Styles were in the mix, and as well as Lorenzo Styles Jr., he was in the mix. But like you look at Arvell Reese. Arvell Reese was not a starter last year. He was a backup last year. A lot of those guys on the defensive line were rotational pieces last year. Now they're starters. So for everybody to be on the same page and to make Arch Manning look so confused is outstanding. And probably the best part about the defense, the tackling. We're going to see it come Thursday and on Sunday, how bad the tackling is in the NFL. Ohio State defense was tackling. When dudes got touched, they went down. It wasn't a lot of broken tackles. They got tackled straight to the ground. Kudos to the Buckeyes.
See, yes, but against the run, I did not think they tackled very well.
Okay.
Against the run, I don't think they tackled very well. I saw a lot of initial contact and then third, fourth, fifth guy having to come up to stop the run. Against the pass, that's great. But I mean, Texas still, ran for 166 yards on this defense. I'm not taking anything away from this defense. You held the number one team in the country in your home field to 7 points. And honestly, that came very late. My only complaint about, I thought if Texas would have been able to commit that comeback, I would have been annoyed with Ryan Day in that because they clamped up down the stretch. Coaching clamped up, and the players followed suit, in my opinion, offensively especially. I thought defensively, they continued to keep that pressure on Arch or whatever. I still thought Texas, I'm watching Texas run the ball, and I'm imagining what Penn State's going to do with their 2 NFL running backs as far as that's concerned. And Texas, obviously, with their running backs, did just a fine job as far as that goes. There was just no complimentary football as far as the offense goes between the pass and the run. But to me, down the stretch, I was getting annoyed, and the guys I was watching the game with, we were all getting a little annoyed. The play calling, run the ball on third down one more damn time, and I was going to flip my what. But I get field position. You were deep in your territory a lot of times when that happened. But I just thought they started to coach a little scared. It's not the right word because they've played too much good competition over the last calendar year to sit there and say that Ohio State's scared of anything. They're not. But I do think that they started overcoaching a little bit down the stretch and trying to protect some of this stuff. They're not lucky they came away with the win, but they did crack that door open for Texas to make a run down the stretch. I thought with like 5 minutes down 14-0, there was no chance. And then I started seeing, again, they go into prevent a little bit. That annoyed me. And then the play calling on the offense, it was almost like, all right, let's just go hand the ball off 3 times. They wanted to do everything in their power to make sure Julian Sain didn't lose in that football game, and that's the vibe I got down the stretch.
Yeah, I would have liked to see some quarterback run, and I know, it's so early in the season, and they like to say that stuff for later in the year. Well, later in the year is right now when you're playing a team like Texas. And no, you don't want to see QB run versus Grambling in Ohio, but hey man, let's win the numbers game here. Let's get us on some naked boots. If the tight end is there, dump it off to the tight end. If tight end isn't there, run it out the back end. Or hey, I'm not saying run up some quarterback powers or anything like that, but let's roll with some zone read type of action to even out the numbers game. So I agree with you there. They could have definitely did something more than just say, hey, hand off, regular handoff, ISO zone run. So I definitely get you there for sure.
All right, Justin Kenner, Kev Nash, 1410 ESPN Radio, 937-518-1410, 937-518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation as far as that's concerned. Buckeye fans, again, for those watching live, you see it, the AP poll came out. Ohio State, the number 1 team in the country. But are they the best team in the country? 937-518-1410. Call in and give us your thoughts. You could also message into the show with that same number. Text 937-518-1410. Plus, weigh in the chat. The Justin Kenner Show on Facebook, YouTube, ESPN Dayton on YouTube. That's the Facebook page as well. We're easy to access, especially as we're now officially in the football season.
It's here.
Yeah, Browns Bengals kick off the season, week 1 of the NFL season. Finally here. I did my first draft last night.
First, how many you in?
I got another one tomorrow. We had to do one for the couples. You got to get the females involved. You got to make them feel like they're
inclusive.
Part. Yes, inclusive, exactly. So, nonetheless.
How many leagues is too many?
I don't do as many. I think the most I was in at one point was 3 or 4. I want to say 4, I think was the most.
Whoa.
But,
but you're a multiple bracket guy when it comes to the tournament too, right?
Increase your chances of winning.
1 league, 1 bracket.
Nah.
1 league, 1 bracket.
Nah, that's boring. That's boring. But nonetheless, all right, we'll step away for a few moments. We'll pick up at this when we come back. Who had the most impressive win and the most disappointing loss week 1 of the college football season, and a loaded week 1 of the college football season at that? We'll pick up at that when we come back. Justin Kenner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Back to the Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
Right, and we are back. Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash with you here on technically our Monday, but it is a Tuesday. The AP poll came out, as well as the coaches poll came out earlier. Ohio State coming in at number 1. No surprise there. They take care of business, knocking off the previous number 1 in both the AP and the coaches poll, and the Texas Longhorns in a high-scoring 14-7 final at the shoe over the weekend. Let me ask you this. Like, if you saw the ticket prices for that game, and you spent, like, obviously Ohio State won, you got to take in the atmosphere, but with the way that game played out, do you think people got their money's worth?
Yes, absolutely.
Ooh.
You got to see the new sign for the national championship. You got to see, all the hype about Arch, man. And you got to see the Buckeyes, man, for sure, man. It's week 1 of the season. You definitely got your money's worth when you see the Buckeyes perform and get the dub, most importantly.
First of all, seeing Arch Manning is why I would want my money back. 2, you could see that same national championship sign this weekend for like $125, and probably see way more than 21 total points be scored.
Oh, you definitely.
Nonetheless,
how many points Buckeyes going to score on Saturday?
That's the big thing. Like, too, like, how good was Texas's defense or was Ohio State's offense just kind of rough this past Saturday? Was Ohio State's defense really good this past Saturday, or was Texas's offense, very, very overrated? We're gonna find out. I don't even know who Texas has. Obviously, it's probably a weaker opponent as well, nonetheless. But Ohio State, they did their job. They won. They played their tough opponent at non-con, and now they just kind of cruise until they have Illinois. Washington, you got to go to Washington.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be a tough game.
So there's that. I mean, again, we're not making excuses. They should beat Washington. They should beat Illinois. Point is, yes, like, that's the front end as far as that goes. But Ohio State coming in at number 1, everyone had their takes of, who should be number 1. LSU got a lot of love early. Obviously, look, you go on. I get the argument. You go on the road and you beat Clemson, but not to overprop that, but to prop that up, like, no one was overpropping Clemson. Everyone kept talking about majority of the critics of Clemson saying they were overrated, ranked too high to begin with. Now LSU, they go and they beat LSU. LSU goes to Clemson and beats an overrated Clemson team, and now they should jump. But I give props. This is why when people rip the SEC, I get it. They did the 8 conference games. Now they're going to 9, coming up. But to their credit, every year those programs are going on the road, taking on tough teams like Texas, now SEC. But like those teams always go on the road. They'll play. Georgia played at Notre Dame. They play Notre Dame at home. Like the SEC has never really shied away from those, right? Like I've never understood that the SEC, they schedule week. They may schedule an additional week game, but to their credit, it's 3-week games in a strong non-conference more times than not. I've never felt Georgia, Alabama, LSU. Those teams are always challenging themselves in the non-con, and we're seeing that with LSU. We've seen it with Texas already. So, yeah, I have no problem with how they schedule. Obviously, they want that 9th conference game. That's going to happen. But this was a loaded week. Loaded week 1. I don't remember a week 1 being this loaded as far as having this many top matchups to kick off a season before. It's going to ruin the next couple weeks.
Great matchups. And also, even though there was a dud of a game on Monday, it still had storylines. Obviously, TCU taking on Belichick. First game in North Carolina, opening drive was magical. They marched right down the field. They scored. They showed Mia Hamm. They showed Lawrence Taylor. They showed Julius Peppers. They showed Michael Jordan. They showed Roy Williams. It was all magical until they gave up 40 points in a row to TCU. And I'm big on TCU this year. I'm a TCU guy this year. I look at TCU as like the Iowa of the Big 12. They're not going to contend every year, but like every third or fourth year, they're going to contend. And this is that year. You look at this team, and a lot of the guys that were on this team were the guys that were starters on the team that lost to Coach Prime in their debut. So you go through that as like sophomores or whatever. Then last year was kind of rocky. It got better. This is the year for them to put everything together and make a run for the college football playoff. So I'm big on TCU. And also, like, just like they talking about like some of the guys that, Coach Belichick got out of the portal for North Carolina. It was a lot of guys from who knows where state and just not very recognizable names, I'll say. And people like, yeah, man, we're going to see what Belichick can do. Like, he's going to do what he normally does, not win when he doesn't have, the greatest quarterback of all time. Like, that was bad last night. They got it put on them. I'm talking about a spanking.
Yeah.
Spanking.
And like it played out nice at first, they marched right down the field. Like it had a big game look, the production, everything.
Oh, yeah.
And then, TCU appreciated that big 3-4 hour PSA for the old Horned Frogs as far as that goes.
Oh, my goodness.
Who had the biggest win of the weekend?
Oh, hands down, Florida State over Alabama.
Glad you understood the assignment there because like Ohio State had a big win, LSU had a big win, but the win that told the biggest story. I agree with you, Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, like I was telling my buddy, like, look, the Mike Norvell experience, the head coach of Florida State, anything can happen. And that's all I said, kept going into the game. I was like, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Like, so after the game, we've established that, all right, Mike Norvell can coach Florida State to a 13-0 season. We've also seen Coach Norvell coach them to a 2-10 season. We've also now just seen him beat Alabama as a 14-point underdog and beat Alabama by 14. So that's a 28-point swing. But we've also seen Mike Norvell coach team lose to Jacksonville State. So literally anything is possible when your team is coached by Mike Norvell. But with all that being said, I mean, they were the more physical team over Alabama. They ran it down their throat, big plays in the offense, passing game, chunk plays, gadget plays by, the offense with in and arounds and toss back sweeps and stuff like that had Alabama walking around with cross eyes. And then defensively, they were out there hitting. I mean, we saw Jeremiah Smith drop a couple passes on Saturday versus Texas. Those were concentration drops. What Ryan Williams, the other big-time sophomore receiver, he was dropping passes because he was getting rocked. So the Florida State defense was out there hitting. The offense was out there clicking. And I think hands down, I mean, they went from unranked to 14th in the country now. Now Alabama's like down to 19. So I think hands down, Florida State had the biggest win of the season so far.
Yeah, Florida State, again, for those watching, they move up to number 14. Alabama drops to number 21. Some say they didn't drop enough as far as that goes. Now, with that being said, who had the biggest win of the weekend, most impressive win of the weekend? Obviously, Florida State. Do we stay with the same game? Who had the most disappointing loss of the weekend?
Most disappointing loss, I would say Clemson. I would say Clemson because Clemson, yeah, it was tight in the first half, but like second half, it was just by the second drive of the second half, I was like, yeah, LSU is going to win this game. Like, because there's just absolutely nothing clicking for Clemson offensively. There was nothing in the passing game. There was next to nothing in the run game. And that's what I always talk about, especially in the college game. You have to use the quarterback as a run element to even out the numbers. And Clemson refused to do that with so much hype going into the season, with Clemson basically being a darling of the ACC and them having everything at their fingertips. And also LSU, losing so many of these big non-con games to kick off the season. Under Brian Kelly, they lost last year to USC. Back-to-back seasons, they lost to Florida State. So, like, all right, man, they're used to losing these opening games, and Clemson couldn't take advantage of that in their own backyard. With the bus trip around the stadium or running down the hill, none of that helped them when they got on the field to play. They ultimately lost, and I lost a parlay because of them.
Yeah, and that's the biggest loss of the weekend. I only don't put that in a big loss category because you challenged yourself week one. You lost to an SEC team, a tough opponent. It was close. Could have looked better in the second half. That I agree with you. But they're not out anything. I still think Clemson looked fine. I still like Klubnik. I think that they're going to be fine. I still have to stay in the Florida State game from earlier. Like, Alabama could have lost a close one to Florida State, and that's fine. But they just got out-muscled, outclassed, outcoached. I mean, he was rumbling, bumbling, stumbling in that press conference afterwards. DeBoer was blaming the fans.
he got mad because they rushed the field.
It's one thing, that they were. Was that a real quote about the booing?
I don't know. I only saw him complaining about the fans rushing the field. And I mean, like, let's be real, man. Like, people will find any excuse to rush the field. But in this case, when you come off you come off a 13-0 season to a 2-10 season, and then you beat Alabama, they're rushing the field. Like, that's just how it's going to go. So, I mean, I get it. Coach DeBoer, like he's up against it. People are talking about this, $70 million buyout already. People are, summoning, Nick Saban to come back and save the program and everything like that. It's 1 week. It's week 1. Let's see what happens throughout the season. Because like you just talked about with Clemson, they're not out of anything. They haven't lost a conference game yet. Florida State is a big name program. Let's see if they're back to, being able to contend for national championships as the season goes on. Because like I said, it's just week 1. So like, let's see what happens before we say like, yeah, we need to buy out this contract.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but like, that's why I'm like, you can lose. Like Texas lost. Clemson lost. Like, but they were competitive. Alabama's not even competitive. And then you hear all the reports coming out that like the difference in this DeBoer program versus Nick Saban. You have players getting DoorDash delivered at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I heard about that. And I heard about certain people being at the hotel.
Yeah. I mean, 18, 19, 20-year-olds having women go up to their room before game night. Not Ohio State though. They're in bed by 8 or 9. They would never do anything wrong. No. But those things. By the way, the reporters sit on those stories.
Oh yes,
and they wait for that type of stuff because I guarantee you, there's probably reporters that Ohio State players doing something weird the night before the Texas game, and had they lost, oh man, should have known something was up. The players didn't seem locked in. They were out. Who knows? But those things always seem to come out. But DeBoer, the seat wasn't hot coming in. It was just. We were trying to figure out what to do with the boiling pot. Like, now it's just right underneath his seat. The rumors of Nick Saban wanting to coach again, although he's doing his best to put that out, but he's a politician,
right.
He'll lie his way out of that. I believe Nick Saban will coach again, but I don't think it's going to be for another program. I think that, like, I swore with the way Ryan Day lost to Michigan last year, I felt Herbs was about to make his return. I did, because I don't think Urban's going to go start over at another program. I think he could still coach. I think he still wants to coach. And I think that if Ryan Day would have got embarrassed by Tennessee, I think that those floodgates would have opened to a potential Ryan Day or Urban Meyer return. And
instead, Ohio State embarrassed Tennessee.
Yeah, that's why I don't think Urban was that happy about that national championship. I think he enjoyed that Michigan loss because I'll save the day. No need, Herbs. You're good. We're good. No, but the Nick Saban thing, I think that's always like, that's the problem when you replace someone like that. That's why I'm so impressed with what Ryan Day did last year, because it was years of tough losses.
Yes.
The worst loss ever in the loss to Michigan last year, where his eyes had bags underneath him. I don't think he slept in a full calendar year. I don't think that he knew where he was. It was like he was in total shock. And somehow that guy got an entire locker room of guys to buy into him, to trust him, to get that coaching staff to trust him, and then to go beat Tennessee, to beat Oregon, to beat Texas, to beat Notre Dame, and then to kick off the season with another win over Texas when, things were going a little rough there towards the end. So kudos to him. DeBoer still has a shot, but man, that's going to be tough because Ohio State fans wanted Ryan Day to work. I don't know if Alabama fans want DeBoer to work.
Oh yeah.
It's like they do, but like, they want Nick Saban.
They want the legend. They want the legend with the big name and, what they're used to. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reality of the situation is Nick Saban is a one of one. You know what I'm saying? Like, we especially as Ohio State fans, we look at it and like, man, we should be up there. We should do this. Like, the reality is this hasn't been done before. What Nick Saban was able to accomplish hasn't been done before. So, like, that's what makes him unique. That's what makes him, I guess, the greatest college football coach of all time. But I don't think that he's going to be headed back to Alabama. My prediction for Alabama and a lot of the teams in the mighty SEC is we're going to experience a power shift. The teams like a Texas, the teams like Oklahoma, the teams like Georgia are going to continue to win and win at elite level. I don't think the Auburns and the Alabamas of the world are going to be able to compete at the level that they once were able to, because I don't think they have enough capital, in their database, in their Rolodex to say, you think about some of the graduates from Ohio State, you think about some of the graduates from Texas, we're talking about oil money. So if Nick Saban is going to come back, I'm predicting he's going to be out there in California.
Oh, you think out west, huh?
Out west. He did it in the South. Go out west. I'm telling you, man. Like, I know Shaw and I disagree about how USC is gonna be this season, but I don't think USC is gonna have a great season. So I see that seat opening up, and I could see that potential landing spot for good old Nick Saban.
Imagine Nick Saban in the Big Ten.
That's where the money is. Like, the Big Ten is where the money is, dude.
You think Miss Terry will like California? Why wouldn't she?
Why not?
She likes nice things. There's that. All right, a lot of big games in college football. We'll continue with our college football talk when we come back. Ohio State, big win over Texas. And now they got to do something very tough. Make fun of this all you want. But Ohio State's having to do something this week that they have not had to do in a long, long time. And we'll discuss that when we come back. Justin Kenner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. So if you go back to 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, Ohio State started preparing to take on the number 5 team in the country, Indiana.
Yeah.
Big game. Then you have that cheating team up north. You're preparing, the coaching staff's coming together to game plan for their biggest rivalry in the history of college sports. You know, they're preparing for that matchup, and there was so much pressure there. And then you go immediately from that to preparing for the college football playoffs for Tennessee. And then you got to focus on the Rose Bowl, undefeated, Big Ten champions, the Oregon Ducks. And then you got to prepare to face the actual good quarterback of Texas, Quinn Ewers, and the Texas Longhorns. And then you got to get ready to face Notre Dame in the national championship game. And then you got to celebrate your national championship because you did it cleanly. I may add, you didn't cheat. That's the most important thing. And then you got to turn your attention towards focusing on, again, the Texas Longhorns. Kev, it's just been like that coaching staff. We talked about it last week. I don't know of any team in the history of college football that has played that stretch of games to where you're just on the go constantly. And I don't mean like on the go, like Ohio State's on the go this week, preparing for Grambling, but that's the point. You got to approach Grambling with a lot of intensity, but my goodness, you know, deep down, it's human nature. It almost feels like, oh, finally we could breathe. When was the last time this coaching staff could breathe? You couldn't breathe against Indiana. I know, I mean, you could, but like, you got to be careful.
Yeah,
know?
I mean, you think about it like this. You really couldn't breathe against Indiana because there was an injury on the offensive line. So you're juggling pieces again. So like that induced panic on the team. And, you know, be honest with ourselves. Go back and watch the Indiana game. We didn't play well. Like we had the punt return by downs that kind of iced the game and everything like that, put it away. But like offensively, we didn't play well. And then obviously we played horrible against Michigan. Credit to them. They helped cause that. So I've always been a proponent of that break, that loss to Michigan, and that break to allow the coaches to figure things out. Like, all right, no, this piece should go here and this piece should go there, and practice those pieces. Like when you're in the flow of the season,
out of here.
when you're in the flow of the season, like you don't have time to juggle things around. You kind of just have to go with what you got. And what we had to go with versus Michigan wasn't good enough. So they juggled things around and helped them win the national championship. But yeah, that run or this run that Ohio State is currently on versus all these top tier teams is just crazy. I mean, we can go ahead and say like, all right, Indiana, they were ranked number 5. Let's remove Indiana. No disrespect, but let's remove Indiana from the talking points, because traditionally Indiana isn't, you know, a team that, you know, quote unquote, us Ohio State fans are worried about. But you think about like the fact that, all right, yeah, you're playing your biggest rival. Then you play Tennessee after losing to your biggest rival.
Yeah.
Then you get your rematch versus the Big Ten undefeated champions out there in the Rose Bowl game that you went to. And then you blow both those teams out. Then you go down to Texas to play Texas, a backyard game for them. You win that game in an epic situation where the Scoop and Sawyer. And then, oh, yeah, now you got to go win the national championship. Oh, it's versus another rival team. It versus a former player of Ohio State and Marcus Freeman. And oh, yeah, you won the national championship. Congratulations. Now, all those guys that decided to come back to school to win the national championship, yeah, they're going to the pros. Like, yeah, all the your Sawyers, your JTs, yeah, Emeka Ibukas, the quarterback that you got out the transfer portal. Yeah, they're all gone. So have fun celebrating. And Ryan Day definitely had fun celebrating. He was out there with the track team, the softball team, even saw a new ring, allegedly.
Not championship ring. I don't know what the hell that could have been.
Hey, man, living his truth.
Looks like he forgot to take he took one out. Looks like he forgot to take the other one out.
And now, oh, yeah,
you're Google search, folks.
You're starting your season versus Texas, and not only Texas, but the team that you beat to make it to the national championship game. So this week, no disrespect to Grambling State, but this is a week that, all right, not only the players can breathe, but the coaching staff can breathe, and you can also try new things out.
Yep.
And, you know, you can look at it as like, hey, man, let's go ahead, handle business in the first half and get other players a lot of reps, backup players and freshman players. Let's get everybody involved. So they've definitely earned this game versus Grambling State.
Yeah. And again, like from a college basketball perspective, we obviously we're going to be flipping towards that here, not too far off.
Party don't stop, baby.
But I know, calling games for Wright State, and you'll get to those weeks where you're playing Kentucky one week, and then you got to prepare for Central State the next. And there's no disrespect but you're a D1 basketball program, and you have to put those games on the schedule. It stinks, but it's just the reality of it. And you put them on the schedule. So I remember talking to coaches over the last couple of years during that stretch where they'll say, no, we'll spend probably 3 times the amount of time on film for that team than the players are going to be mentally prepared for that. So we have to approach those no-name teams differently to try to overemphasize how prepared you have to be for them, because if not, that's how you get, slapped upside the head by a team that you shouldn't,
right?
Or whatever. So Ohio State just they're winning this game. This isn't oh man, who's going to win this weekend? But you do wonder, this team has just been, the grind has just been surreal over the last, going back to that Indiana game, even just the Michigan game, or just the playoffs in general. Every single week that they've been preparing for an opponent has just been they've been a nervous wreck. This is the first week. You don't have to be a nervous wreck, but how do you, that energy that you're giving off to your guys at practice, you can't let the players feel that, because they feed off your energy.
Right.
They've been feeding off that vibe and energy and the desperation and the urgency for the last year. This is the first game in 7 games where that's probably going to be lacking. So I think that it is, as dumb as this sounds, Ryan Day has a tough week ahead preparing them for this, because they're winning. But as we know, man, they won 35-14. That's not a win. That's a win, but that's not a win.
Right.
We'll be, you only put 35 up. You gave up 14. That's oh crap. We took our foot off the gas because it's Grambling State. We've been going balls to the wall for the last 8 games or whatever. Yeah, that's the only hot take I have on this game. They're winning, but don't follow up Texas, and don't follow up this amazing stretch with making us, oh man, they can't run. No, I don't want you next week. You're right. They can't run the football. They weren't playing it safe with Julian saying against Texas, because it was Texas. They were limited with what they can call, because the kid stinks. I hope that's not what we're talking about next week. And I don't think that we will, but that's what Ohio State's up against this week, if you will, as they prepare for Grambling State, not Tennessee, not Notre Dame, not Penn State or Michigan or Oregon or anything like that. But also for us as fans, Ohio, Grambling State. I mean, there's a bye week coming up. That might be more entertaining than the next couple of weeks. Who knows?
Yeah, man. You take a look at it, and we can look at it from a game that we talked about earlier in the show with Bama and Florida State. Like, on paper, Alabama steamrolls this game because they have all the NFL talent on every level, from offensive line, defensive line, the wide receivers and everything like that. From the Florida State perspective, you have a bunch of transfer guys that played well at other schools, but you have transfers from Wake Forest. You have transfers from Vanderbilt, older guys that played a lot of football, but they're not looking like they're going to be, first and second round picks. They're looking at maybe 5th, 6th round undrafted free agent type of guys. But like you talked about, to get Kalen DeBoer to get his guys to buy in and to be locked in for every single game, locked in for every single opponent. That's a difficult thing. And I mean, shoot, it's still Florida State, but the guys on Alabama potentially could have been looking at it oh, they went 2-10 last year. We're going to go in there and smack them in the face and just keep it rolling. To keep guys mentally locked in. And this isn't just a college football thing or a college thing. This happens in the NFL as well. This happens on every aspect of sports, that have your guys locked in to play with maximum effort every single time. So I'm looking forward to see how the Buckeyes play, but more importantly, I'm looking forward to make sure they get out there, injury free.
Yeah, you're right. It does happen in the NFL. Like my guy Joe Flacco. This is a Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl MVP.
I love that you love Joe Flacco now.
And it's a Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl MVP. And instead of preparing to play a good team in week 1, he's having to play he's preparing to face a non-playoff defense from the last couple of years. So I know what you're saying. The Browns have that, they're playing a weak-ass opponent this coming up Sunday in Ohio State. I feel for Joe Flacco, and I feel for the Buckeyes, just having to be mentally tough. But the Browns looking ahead to trap game against the Bengals coming up this Sunday.
You using all the cliches.
Looking ahead to week 2, when they have to face a real team, not this non-playoff bum of a team down by the river or whatever the heck it is he says. But nonetheless. All right. Good stuff. 937-518-1410. I think your guy Shaw has been waiting on hold.
Shawski.
Shocker. He sent in his top 15. Guess who he doesn't have as number one in the country?
The?
And Ohio State. You beat the number one team in the country. And apparently still not impressive.
Not good enough.
Not impressive enough. It's just never good enough for what if they would have stole their sign, Shaw? Would you put him at number one then? Would you have done that then? You never know.
I see. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Nonetheless. All right, we'll be right back. Justin Kidd and Kevin Nash, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Please, famous for a reason.
To close it out.
Sure.
Okay, to close it out real quick, because Ohio State come in, just for those who are just tuning in and jumping in the conversation. The AP poll came out earlier today, as well as the coaches poll. Texas was number one in both of those polls. Ohio State, of course, they take that number one spot in the most recent AP poll that came out earlier today after Ohio State takes care of business against the number one team in the country, the Texas Longhorns. 14-7 the final at the Shoe over the weekend, and that's where we're at right now. Again, Ohio State, are they the best team in the country? That's still yet to be determined, but they did have the most impressive win of the weekend, too, when you think about the fact that, again, you're the number one. They're the only team that had the number one team on the schedule to kick off week one, and they took care of business. As far they were favored heading into it. They won by by possession. They absolutely stifled the Heisman favorite in Arch Manning. So I have no problem with Ohio State being number one. Not saying that they're the best team in the country, but again, all this is resume based, and right now Ohio State has the biggest win of the season. Can't deny that. There's not any other team that has as good a win as that. LSU's win was solid, especially the fact that they went on the road. Did you hear the battle of words between Dabo and family, but nonetheless, that's where we're at.
I love it, man. Football season officially back. I mean, we can debate about who should be number one, Ohio State or Penn State or LSU. Look, man, it's all going to take care of itself. But teams that have the right to talk about it is Ohio State, is LSU, Miami. They have a right to, discuss things. And teams that shouldn't feel bad about themselves is Texas and Clemson or Notre Dame, because they actually played somebody, not just somebody with a pulse, because, Auburn played Baylor. That's somebody with a pulse, but those teams actually played somebodies that have a chance of really winning this thing. So kudos to the teams, obviously, that won the games, but no knocking the teams that lost, especially Texas and Clemson. Like you said, they challenged themselves. So goes a lot to show about what they're willing to do. Texas coming to Ohio State and playing. I know they was kind of scared of that night game.
That was still that atmosphere. I mean, you were in Columbus, obviously, but that atmosphere for a noon kick, that was one of the better. That might be the best noon.
There you go.
Oh no, it still needed to be at night. But Ross Bjork, to his credit, a lot of people are still criticizing him, this, that, and the other, but he sees the importance of, especially coming from the SEC, where I think, they all up and down that conference kill it when it comes to game day production, as far as that's concerned. That's been a point of emphasis of his, and it started with the Tennessee game, the playoff game, with some of the new features they added, and obviously adding a lot of the new, some of the gimmicky stuff that goes a long way in helping create new traditions at the Shoe. But kicking good teams' ass at the Shoe is a good tradition that I think trumps all the traditions that you could add. But I thought they brought it all together this past Saturday. But if you're going to, they're going to be playing at noon. A lot of these games at noon, although they don't play at noon for a while because, they're
3:30, 7,
and then bye week. And then Washington will probably be at 3:30. They're going to play at Washington at noon. So
that'll probably be on CBS.
But buckle up, it's a nooner the rest of the season. So,
big noon vibes.
Shaw, how are you? Happy week one of college football.
Happy week one, fellas. How you doing?
It's lit. Go Bucks.
Yeah. They played well with their limited playbook, but they played well. They definitely played well on defense. I was impressed with that. Looks like Downs is going to be running all over the field as usual. So definitely something to keep a track of, which was surprising to me because I wasn't thinking Patricia was the right hire. So he shut me up. So
yeah, you also think Penn State's number one too. So.
I had Penn State number one before the season started, so I kept it the same way. I didn't change.
So beating the number one team in the country doesn't get you anything.
I had Penn State. I had Ohio State above Texas, so I went with my rankings, not the AP rankings.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We talk about meaningful rankings on the show.
I talk about my rankings. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
So run down yours. What's your top 10?
I I don't have it memorized, and I'm not looking at it right now. But
Bad,
Penn State-
bad. And coming in at number 10, bad.
Okay, cool, sweet, great conversation. Anyhow.
Here it is. I got you, Shaw. So your top
Penn
10.
State, Ohio State.
Yeah. You got Penn State, Ohio State, Georgia, LSU, Miami, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, and Clemson.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What did you think of the Miami and Notre Dame game?
Was surprised at Miami and disappointed with Notre Dame. I have Notre Dame there, but I think they have another couple losses, and then they may not make the playoff. But time will tell. Maybe Miami's better than everybody thinks they are, and if that's the case, then I guess Notre Dame doesn't look that bad. But
that was a fascinating game because that was two teams who traditionally, and I know Notre Dame got to the national championship last year. I get that, but those are two programs that normally when you build them up to put them on that stage, they lose that game. So someone had to win that game. Miami not just won it, but they looked good doing it. Again,
they tried to lose it.
They looked good doing it. So
yeah, until the late in the fourth quarter when they almost let Notre Dame back in the game,
or Notre Dame was trying to come back, or Notre Dame was trying to come back into the game.
Yeah, but look at the possession, like the two possessions before. You guys were talking about how Ohio State sat on the ball. Miami sat on. Cristobal did his typical thing where he puckered up and just. They got the ball back. I believe it the second to the last time before the field goal. I think it was 4:12 or 4:17 on the clock. I don't remember exactly. They literally took 20 seconds off the clock because they wanted to throw the ball 2 more times. I don't know. It was just very weird to me that they didn't burn the clock when they should have, and then they were burning clock when I didn't think they should have. I don't know. It was just a typical Cristobal thing. But I was more. I guess I took more from Notre Dame in that game because they didn't really run love. I didn't see the physicality, especially from the offensive side of the ball. I didn't think the defense was aggressive. I thought they played way more zone than they normally do. But they have a new defensive coordinator. Their defensive coordinator is down on the river now. So maybe that had something to do with it. Yeah, I think it was a great week of football. It's weird not going to be having football tonight. I'll say that.
All comes back on Thursday. The pros.
Yes. And then I know you all were. Did you guys even watch the game Saturday night up in Ann Arbor?
No, I did not. How did the $2 million man look?
I wish it was $2 million, but anyhow, I'll take his. I'll go with him. He gave himself a C+. I'll say C+, B-. He did things that looked good, and he did things that were refreshing. He held on the ball a couple times, took some sacks that I don't think he should have, but first game. But I was very impressed. New Mexico decided they wanted to make it a game. We get the ball back with 1:54, and we're 3rd and 14, and he hits a dig, and that he showed the arm. He showed the arm talent on that throw. So I was, and then later on in the same drive, that's when he hit Klein down the sideline. It was a touch pass. So on one pass he throws the power, and then the next pass he shows the touch. So I was impressed with those two. But outside of it, we move into this week and we got Oklahoma on deck. So
Boomer Sooner, baby.
I know. For that safety, I will. I'll be watching him closely and to see what he does. Outside of that,
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. All right.
Be fun.
It'll be fun. All right, because he'll have Haynes and Marshall coming right downhill.
I already had to deal with young Marshall before back in the high school days. We're good.
You might want to go look at some tape.
We're good.
Hey, what game did your team pick for your coach to suspension?
He will be suspended games 3 and 4, so he will miss the Nebraska game.
Ooh, dang.
Go ahead. Keep sleeping on him. Go ahead.
Sleeping on who?
Nebraska. Go ahead.
I mean, Michigan. Look, Ohio State.
I'm the one that's big on Nebraska. You're big on USC. Don't try to switch up our bet now.
I'm big on both of them, and I told you that day. But I'm bigger on USC, but I'm big on Nebraska too. They survived Thursday night against Cincinnati. I will say that, but I'm very high on Nebraska, and I'm very high on USC. Nothing's changed there. Nothing. So. Or there's only one team in the country this week that put up 73 points. So,
who was that? Oregon?
No, that was USC.
Oh, okay. Who they play? Me and Kenner.
Somebody, nothing. So somebody, you.
Yeah.
It was nobody. But
UC Davis or something like that.
Yeah, the fact that they put up 73 was the impressive part.
Mm-hmm. So, impressive.
I mean, it was what 51 more points than a certain game in Columbus had. So
competition does matter.
I know. It was said in tongue in cheek. I get it. I get it.
Now you got me curious who they play, and I gotta Google it.
Kev, I thought when you won a national championship and lost a lot of players to the NFL, I thought you were supposed to be bad for a little bit. How does Ohio State do it?
I don't know, man. We reload, man.
That is wild.
We don't rebuild. We reload.
That is wild.
Recruiting is still king in the sport, folks. Recruiting is still king. So that's
cheating
what that is.
But yeah,
I don't know what you're speaking of. So
neither is NCAA.
No. But all right, Sean.
Anyhow,
what you got?
I'll say nothing else. I got you. We'll talk to you.
Nope, not saying it. He's not getting that in. Not
Good
letting
job.
him say it. Yep. He's getting the guillotine. He does not get to support that cheating program.
Missouri State.
On this
That's
program.
who USC played.
Missouri State?
Yeah.
Aren't they like the Bears or something? Or what?
Correct. Look at you.
Oh, they are. You had something you wanted to throw out.
Oh, yes. So are you a KFC fan? Do you like Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Yes.
Okay. Do you like
the bowl?
Okay, what's your go-to order?
Whatever that bowl is that has like the chicken and the mashed potatoes and all that. Yeah.
Okay, well, you'll soon be able to pick up some candy. KFC is collaborating with a candy company to release fried chicken, corn, and gravy flavored jelly beans.
Now, have you seen the like jelly bean packs that like there's some normal jelly beans in it, and then there's some just horribly tasting ones in there, and you just got,
Yes, I remember when the black licorice were the nasty tasting jelly beans, but now we got corn flavored jelly beans and gravy flavored jelly beans.
Like sweet corn jelly beans. Like,
no, man,
that don't fit the old weight loss secret diet. So I'm gonna have to sit that one out.
I see.
By the way, so yeah, there's that. But all right, we talked a lot about college football, but when we come back, we'll highlight a lot of the top performers week 2 of the high school football season. Every week, every Monday, obviously with it being a holiday yesterday, we released it today, but we'll highlight our top 5 performers coming out of each week of the high school football season. 5 huge performances coming out of week 2. We'll highlight those individuals when we come back. We also have the Buckeye Roundtable coming up later on tonight. Paul Keel, Skip Mossick, you'll hear from Ryan Day. 2 hours Ohio State talk coming up following the program as well. We'll also get into the Reds. So how about this? The Reds are still within striking distance. It's unlikely at this point, but they're within 3-4 games of a wild card spot.
Hanging tough.
And, well, the guy that was supposed to be on the mound tonight to lead the way for the Reds, well, his tummy hurts, so he's going to miss tonight's game.
You're so mean, bro.
This is why they deserve to miss the playoffs. When you go, oh, my tummy hurts. Oh.
Hey, man, when you got to go, you got to go.
How about you go out there and pitch a gem for a team that desperately needs it right now?
Maybe they have some gravy-flavored jelly beans.
Some of them, yeah. We'll be right back. Sweet corn. Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Week 3 of the high school football season is coming up, or is officially here, I should say. And our ESPN Dayton High School football game of the week will feature the Trotwood Rams welcoming in the Springfield Wildcats coming up this Friday night. Keith Byers and I will be on the call. 6:45 pregame coverage begins, or 6:30 pregame coverage begins with a 7 o'clock kickoff. Week 3 already, Kev.
Can't believe it.
Trotwood welcoming in Springfield coming up this Friday. Trotwood 2-0. They knocked off Fairmont this past Friday night. So that was a fun one. Adam and Josh were on the call for
They
that.
beat my high school Friday. Week 1.
Cleveland Heights, yeah.
Yeah,
they've
home
got
of the Tigers.
They've got off to a heck of a start. Actually, one of the best starts that they've had in the last couple of years. So pretty good start for Jeff Graham's Trotwood Rams. A lot of big performances over the weekend. And what we're going to be doing every Monday, today's Tuesday, obviously, but we'll switch this up moving forward and move it to Mondays. We were just off yesterday. Every Monday moving forward, we'll highlight some of the top individual performances in the Miami Valley. Of course, you can always help send in some of these. If there's a name that you think that needed to be highlighted that we missed, more than fine. I almost hate that we only do 5. We could do more. But here's the thing about this, Kev. All right, we're doing 5.
Mm-hmm.
If I expand it to 10, there's still 15 kids that
right.
could be out. There was a lot of great individual performances, but these are the ones that came across our desk that we came across and highlights from over the week. We'll start at number 5, Tippecanoe Red Devils. Their running back, Xavier Melton, Kev, 22 carries, 182 yards, and 4 touchdowns in one night. How about that?
4.
Tippecanoe, they beat Piqua 40-7. And, again, Xavier Melton, the star running back for Tippecanoe, helped lead that 40-point charge. So there's that. 40-7, the final.
4 touchdowns, man. I never scored a touchdown in high school. He got 4 in one game.
How about Mark Neal's Fairborn Skyhawk?
Hey,
We can also say Josh Copeland, who called the game this past Friday night with Adam, his Fairborn Skyhawks. He'd go on to play college football at Buffalo, by the way. But Zaire Cavett is their star senior running back, 156 yards on 21 carries. A 4-touchdown performance for him.
They're giving away 4 touchdown nights.
Skyhawks, they beat Sydney 28-0 this past Friday night. Fairborn is 2-0 for the first time since 2020.
Shouts out to Fairborn.
They get that new stadium, and all of a sudden,
brand new, ain't they? Just acting brand new.
I'm not saying it's ever happened. You ever notice when they debut like a new basketball court? Not they, as in Fairborn, but like any school, it always seems to be timed up right with a good group of kids. Which is smart, by the way.
Absolutely.
You don't want to, 2 and 8 is fine. 2 and 8 is more than fine, kids. But you don't want to debut a new football stadium for the 2 and 8 Skyhawks, right? The 2-0 Sky, and 2 and 8 is still very possible.
Hey.
You never know. But hey, Zaire Cavett, love that kid. Again, off to a great start. He has 7 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks. 7 in the first 2 weeks. Not bad. Not bad. All right, Springboro, the Panthers. How about
4 touchdowns?
No, they're 4. Well, more actually. 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. Quarterback Max Miller, he completed 18 of his 29 pass attempts for 252 yards and 3 touchdowns. Plus, he only ran for 34 yards, but he also punched in a rushing touchdown as well. So he finished the night with 4 total touchdowns, 252 yards through the air. Max Miller, the quarterback for the Springboro Panthers, helped lead the Panthers to a 38-0 shutout win over Edgewood in week 2.
Congrats, Max. Congratulations. Another 4 touchdown performance. Goodness gracious. You got these kids are outstanding, man. Kudos to them, man. But, also kudos to, I hear a lot of running backs on there, but, kudos to the offensive linemen out there paving the way for these running backs to score these 4 touchdown nights.
Well, no offensive lineman on this list, but then you're right, but then nonetheless. Coming in at number 2, we're going to have a chance to see Trotwood Rams quarterback this Friday. Had a chance to see him last Friday in the Rams win over Fairmont, the 22-21 final there. But their quarterback, Dallas Sheehy, completed 11 of 18 of his pass attempts for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, plus ran the ball 9 times for 135 yards and a touchdown on the ground. He was responsible for every touchdown, and of course that was huge because 22-21 the final there over Fairmont.
Goodness gracious. I mean, a 1-point victory. They needed all of his yards on the ground and in the air. I'm curious to who got the number 1 spot.
And number 1, Oakwood.
Oh, we know somebody from Oakwood.
Werewolf. The Lumberjacks.
Okay.
The Lumberjacks of Oakwood. How about their star quarterback, Very efficient night. Okay. Zach Lutz threw the ball 16 times.
Okay.
He completed 13 of those 16 pass attempts for 262 yards and 5 touchdowns. Oakwood defeats Bethel 43-12 in their week 2 showdown. But again, Zach Lutz, 13 of 16 for 262 yards and 5 touchdowns through the air.
Those are the stat lines people expected from Arch Manning.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, something. I mean, like at least 260 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I mean, not everyone could be our guy, Zach Lutz from Oakwood. So shout out to Zach Lutz, who comes in number 1 on our week 2 high school top performers list from the high school football week 2 season here in the state of Ohio. So shout out to him. Again, number 5 on the list, again, running back Xavier Melton from Tippecanoe. The Red Devils beat Piqua 40-7 behind Melton's 182 yards on the ground. 4 touchdowns is what he finished with on the night. Fairborn Skyhawks running back Zaire Cavett, 156 yards on 21 carries. He punched it into the end zone 4 times as well. 4 touchdowns to help beat the Skyhawks, beat Sydney 28-0. Coming in at number 3 on our list as we recap this to close it out, the Springboro Panthers have a star quarterback named Max Miller, who threw the ball 29 times, completing 18 of those for 252 yards. 3 touchdowns through the air, and he even punched one into the end zone on the ground in his 2 carries for 34 yards. The Panthers beat Edgewood 38-0 this past Friday. Trotwood Rams quarterback Dallas Sheehy, again, 11 of 18 from, completing 11 of 18 pass attempts for 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then carried the ball 9 times for 135 more additional yards and punched it into the end zone for a rushing touchdown as well. That was huge because the Rams beat Fairmont 22-21 to improve to 2-0 on the season. The Oakwood Lumberjacks, as we just mentioned, Zach Lutz, their star quarterback, completed 13 of 16 pass attempts for 262 yards and 5 touchdowns. Oakwood with the big win over Bethel, 43-12. And there you go, our top 5 high school football performers list from week 2. Big week. And now we move on to week 3, Kev. Just like that, we are 20% of the way through the season.
You're good at math.
20% of the way through the season as far as that goes. So couple other scores from around the Miami Valley as we kind of make a tour through this right now. Excuse me. Valley View. Shout out to Steve from Springboro. You know, he knows that we have that contract with the G-Walk and all the other big schools, but he Valley View 20-7. They get the win over Franklin. Thurgood Marshall, they lose to Ross 57-8 in a blowout win there for Ross. Brookville beats Springfield Shawnee 49-7. Carlisle beats Miami East 25-18. Eaton 31, Richmond 7. Waynesville shuts out Greenview 21-0. Fenwick 21, Monroe 7. Oakwood over Bethel, as we mentioned, 43-12 there. How about Bellbrook shutting out Bell Fountain? I think Bell Fountain misses Octavian.
Definitely.
I think they miss Octavian. They get shut out 34-0. Bellbrook off to a good start.
Busy up there in Columbus.
So yeah, no doubt about that. But I hope he gets the chance, obviously this season, but at some point he looks the part.
Yes.
I hope at some point he gets
definitely
that
has
there.
all the measurables out there. I just hope that, he's patient because, it's going to take some time. Obviously, there's Julian Sain, who's a redshirt freshman. Obviously, the starting quarterback for the Buckeyes. Yeah, take your time. Don't rush the process. Stick with it because, Coach Day has a way of working with QBs to get them ready for the next level.
Unless you're Tate Martell. And who's the dude from 2 years ago?
Scott McCord.
Scott McCord.
But he's a Buckeye. He's a Buckeye.
If you're going to throw insults, at least, you have it ready. Other finals, how about Alter after that huge win to end their 4-game losing streak over Fairmont in the Battle of Kettering in week 1? They go down in overtime. A week later, they lose to Taft 33-27. Baden takes care of Dixie Heights 66-21. Another blowout there. Tecumseh takes care of Carroll 30-16. Wheelersburg 10, McNicholas 7, and then Withrow taking care of CJ. Chaminade Julienne, CJ loses 36-7. Miami Valley League football. Butler takes care of Stebbins 27-21. We talked about this one earlier. Tippecanoe 40-7 over Pickwood. Troy takes care of Xenia 24-14. Fairborn shuts out Sydney 28-0, and Greenville over West Carrollton 30-0. GWOC, the Greater Western Ohio Conference. How about Wayne? Going down at they play a tough non-conference, but they lose to Pick Central 38-28. So they're not off to a very good start right now. Unfortunately, Wayne 1-1. That loss right there puts them at 1-1 on the season. Centerville is who I was technically mentioning here, 0-2. They go down against St. Xavier 20-7. So not the old start for the Elks.
Yeah.
They're missing some power.
Yeah.
We'll see some power this coming up week.
For sure. They'll get it together.
Yeah. Beaver Creek over Cincinnati Woodward, 62-0 the final there.
Beavers.
2. Dublin Kaufman against Miamisburg in a low-scoring affair. Dublin Kaufman takes care of the Vikings 10-6 the final. Trotwood over Fairmont 22-21 as we highlighted. Springboro shuts out Edgewood 38-0. And Springfield loses to Wash Jesuit again 30-6 the final there.
That makes this week's game so big.
Yeah, I mean, Springfield 0-2. Right there. I mean, imagine them dropping. I mean, Trotwood's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's crazy to talk about Springfield potentially dropping to 0-3. Obviously, they're not 0-3 yet, but they've played good teams to start too. Springfield, it's not like they're going out there playing a bunch of nobodies, but we'll see what ends up happening as far as that goes. But they opened up at Winton Woods, okay, and then Walsh this past week, and then they played Trotwood. So it's a tough go of
bang, bang, bang
for the old Wildcats as far as that goes. But that's our high school football scoreboard coming out of week 2 of the high school football season. And we'll continue to keep you updated on scores all season long, standings, all that fun stuff. Plus, we'll be bringing you our ESPN Dayton high school football game of the week. And as we mentioned right there, bam, Trotwood welcoming in Springfield this Friday night. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. We'll be right back.